MCPodcasting.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. Dan and Stephen here, episode 107. Stephen, isn't it?
Is it 106?
Oh, 106, 106.
It's 106.
Fuck it already. Take two.
Fuck it up already.
Fuck it out. But we're joined by a very special guest, Ali, soon to be Dr. Ali, is with us. Zaire Ali, joining us from New Jersey. Or I say New York. Is it officially New Jersey? Yeah.
Yeah, New Jersey. Yeah, New Jersey. But like Eric, like most people know New York because it's like, oh my God, New York City. But like, yeah, I'm New Jersey strong.
Or is it one of those things that the people get offended if they say you're from New York if you're from New Jersey? Is it something that's like?
Oh no, we don't get offended. It's just like it's just easier to say like, yeah, like, do you know New York? Because like, everybody knows New York. You can go to like anywhere and they're like, oh yeah, I know New York. Like,
yeah. True.
Yeah.
It's kind of like our friend Bannon. He's from outside Belfast, but wherever we go around the world, like we've been in America together, he'll tell everyone he's from Belfast, and I'm like, no, you're not from Belfast, you dick.
Even I'm living outside of Belfast at the moment myself.
But you probably still say Belfast.
Yeah.
All right, so as for this, you're our first international guest.
Ooh, lucky me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
No pressure.
I know. You better not fuck up. All our American fans are gonna hate us now. But before we get into it, before like this podcast being planned for a while. I mean, you've chatted about this for last year, about eventually doing a podcast together because you have your own podcast.
Yeah, it's called the Urban Psychologist. So like, I've been trying to get it up and going. So I did little things here and there, but just school just been busy. So I really haven't had time to like, focus on it.
Yeah.
And like really like, lock down and get to your level yet. But,
Yeah.
I'm learning, I just really got to sit down and like, really put my time in and like really just sit down and focus. But, it's coming.
Because your first episode was really good. Who's that with again, that girl?
Yeah, my friend Vanessa. She's a doctoral student at my school at Rutgers.
Yeah.
So I met her. Then we're in the same lab. So like she's like one of the top people in the lab, and I'm just like I work in the lab with her and her professor. So we were just chatting one day. Then I was like, yo, let's make this into like a episode. And I was like, let me put this on podcast. First episode, let's get it.
Yeah.
So we were chit chatting. Then I set up this whole setup. Then boom, we did it. Put it on SoundCloud, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was like, I got school started to get really busy, so I just got
It's hard to balance things. Like, see, whenever you're trying to do something and like a podcast, you're always going to be your own boss with it, so you can kind of go, I'll do that later. I'll just do that later, and you just keep putting it off, and then you go, shit, I haven't done it.
Yeah.
That's why like the idea of means like I can never do a podcast by myself. I don't think I needed someone else because I'm very like self-conscious. So if someone slags off the podcast and it was just me, I'd take it to heart and I delete everything.
You can pretend that they're talking about me.
Yeah. Are we sure the responsibility? Are we sure the negative comments? I'm like, okay, at least it's halved. At least the negativity is halved on both of us. If someone slags both of us, I feel okay. But someone attacks me, I'm like, shit, don't attack me, please. But I remember listening to your first episode. I remember going, this is so like, because I can tell both of you are quite intelligent. Fuck me, he's had one episode and it's already better than all of our episodes. What the fuck?
I wish.
I was so flustered. I was like, he just makes this sound so effortless. Like for me, I'm sure you're the same. I don't know if Steven's the same. Like for you, re-listen back to your episode, do you go, that doesn't sound like me, or I sound weird, or that sounds a bit. You can tell when you're a bit nervous or something.
Yeah, so like when I was looking back to it, because I have like 3 episodes recorded that I just never chopped up. So I listened back to them, I'm like, wow, like I sound, kind of like foolish, or like why did I say it, like why did it come out like that? But then I'm like, no, like that's just like jitters, that's just like normal conversation. So like I don't care. Like I'm like, if I scripted it more, it probably would sound better. Like people who are like make millions of podcasts, I'm like, nah, like I'd rather just like be me, like be who I am, because like I don't want to like people to like somebody who's fake.
I find that I attempt words that I've never used before in my life on a podcast, and I can't even pronounce them, and I don't know what they mean, and I just like slip them into conversation, and then if I listen to it back, I'd be like, what the fuck am I talking about?
at least you're saying, for me, my brain starts to make up words that don't exist. I'm like trying to say a word. I'm like, that's not a real word. Don't say that. Like you stop, and then 5 seconds in real life is fine, but see 5 seconds on a podcast, it seems like forever. Like, oh my god, no one's talking. Oh shit, we need to talk. Shit, say something stupid. And then it gets worse and worse. But it's good for us because we have it together, so we share that responsibility, I think, and we kind of push each other in that sense. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not feeling up to it one week, Stephen be like, "You doing a podcast?" Like, okay, yeah, we gotta do it. Then we gotta do it.
Yeah.
You know.
It's cool. Like it's like I'm really just trying to just set time apart every week because it's part of it's like my fault too. It's just like planning and prep, having preparation. Yeah. So like if I get better and do it that way, because sometimes I just like, okay, let's just do it. Then like I get nervous, then I talk too fast, and my sentences become like one word. I'm like, what did I just say?
Especially because see when you're small and you don't have a following yet, you kind of feel like, well, no one's really, who's listening to this? If I miss a week, it doesn't matter. That's what we were going through. It's like, it's hard to get a set time because, like, who's listening to it? But then the problem is you'll never grow if you don't have a set time. Like, if you don't do it every week, you'll never grow. If you just do it randomly, like, no one's ever going to follow that, People like consistency.
You need consistency. And I think when me and Stephen first started, I think our first episode, we literally are just, personally, I'm just reading off facts.
Yeah.
I think it was like the Florida school shooting or the Florida shooting years ago, and I had all these facts about school shootings and like shooting in America and all too, and I was reading it off, and I mean, this sounds so awkward. And every episode after that, up until by episode 20, we had like a specific topic for each episode. And it was interesting, but it was getting to the point where we're speaking an hour about one weekend of football. We're like, this is getting a bit boring. Like we need to do something different. And I think one week we decided not to have a topic and just talk to each other about things that we're doing, like movies we watched, TV shows we watched, what we're looking forward to, just politics, anything goes. And then for us, well, I know for me, it got me more interested in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's natural.
Yeah, it's just like a conversation you're having with a friend, and I think I like the idea of, because me and Stephen talk all the time. It's getting a bit stale, so I thought let's bring other people on, get some other people's opinion. So I wanted you to come on forever since the day and hour we met. I wanted you on this, and then it just so happened that it came into this weekend, and obviously something really really bad happened in America this week. Yeah. I think we should talk about. It's hard not to talk about George Floyd, who was brutally murdered by a police officer. Was it in Minnesota?
Yeah, Minnesota, yeah.
And I think, you're in America, so you probably see these on a more regular basis. But for us, the idea of that it seems fucking horrendous. Like I haven't even watched the video yet. I can't even watch the video. I watched 10 seconds of it, but I know where it goes. I know what happens. And that's, in broad daylight, for that to happen, was it 5 or 4 policemen that surrounded him?
Yeah, he's standing right there.
Like, if that doesn't make you think what the fuck's going on in society or what the fuck is going on in certain parts of America, you're dead inside. If that doesn't make you think or make you want to think, you have something wrong with you.
No, I agree. But the thing is, that's been happening since America's been around. But Will Smith said it, racism didn't change. It's getting recorded now. That's been happening. So imagine how bad it was without camera phones. So
exactly.
It's it happens so much. It's when you're here, it's school shootings, police killings, and all these things. It's man, again. But people are getting tired of it, man, because it's saying okay, there's another human there. I'm just going to kill them. I'm going to hurt them because how they look. They don't have to be doing anything wrong, but you know what? I believe in one way, and they look this way, so I'm going to hurt them, or I'm going to try to screw their life up.
Yeah.
So it's us, people of color, black people, anybody who's not the majority here, we feel it some type of way because it's built into the system. The system here, is not that it's failing us. It's doing what it's supposed to do because the system is made from slavery. It's been happening since slavery. Then all the way along, post-slavery, and
Jim Crow.
Jim Crow, yeah, it just changes, segregation. It's just, it just took a different form.
Yeah.
And but now like people are just fed up with it, and like the protests, like they suck and all the killings suck, but like it's one of those things where it's like, what do you want people to do? Like there's anger, there's just so many emotions. Like just imagine, like we are in Ireland, we are literally chilling in Ireland. I felt so safe. Like I'd never met any of you guys before, but I was walking down the streets of Atrum, like with your dad. I was just walking everywhere in Ireland, and I felt super safe. Like
Yeah.
and like me going to a whole other country, people are like, what? You went to Ireland like by yourself? Blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah. Like the people over there are cool. Like they don't want no trouble. Like they just we're in Belfast. We're having fun.
I think that's where me and Stephen have talked about before. That's where we come from, and the idea of a black guy coming over here, that doesn't faze us. That's never been the case, and I think obviously we don't have as much like black people living in Ireland compared to America, of course.
Yeah.
But the idea of a black guy being here, I've always thought that's don't treat him differently. That was never the case.
It's because we've never encountered that. Like we live, let's face it, like we live in a predominantly white area.
Yeah.
So like it's never been, and anyone like we have our own issues and our own history with sectarianism, etc. But like the racism thing, it was never a thing here. So whenever we see it happen in America, it's like it's so alien to me.
Yeah.
And like, what the fuck is going on over there?
So like
crazy.
That's what we were saying. Like so when like the shit and the tension that's going on in Belfast through Catholics and Protestant, Unionists and Nationalists, that's been going on for hundreds of years now, and throughout the Civil War and the separation of the North and the South. I think for us, there's so much tension going on and so much fear going on, especially in a city like Belfast, where certain people, well, me and Stephen can't really go down certain areas because of who you are, So when a black guy,
that happens today.
That's still the case. It's not as bad as it was, but it's still the case. This is actually a good example. I actually didn't plan this, but I'm wearing a T-shirt. Don't know if you can see it. It says more blacks, more dogs, more Irish.
Yeah.
But it's the signs in England where there'd be like no blacks, no dogs, no Irish people like apply for jobs and stuff are allowed in the bar. So I bought this for more blacks, more dogs, more Irish. I was taking my dog for a walk with Dervla, and we walked down a part of Belfast where it's majority Protestants, and I walked down all that. Then I got really worried because like shit, I'm wearing this T-shirt, and I walked the whole way through that area like this, like scratching my arm, just to almost hate it. And my dad said, "Don't worry about it, that area is fine." But it was in my mentality that hey, that top, don't wear that top down that area because people are gonna say it. And my dad was probably right. Nothing probably would have happened, but it's brought up through history that you can never walk down that street, but now we can because it's not as like fierce anymore, the division. But it's still
how they know though? Like how will they know where you like what you are by just looking at you? I don't understand that.
Well,
because he's wearing a shirt that says more Irish.
Yeah.
So but if you didn't wear that shirt, you would be fine.
Yeah. Well, if you walk through certain areas, I'd be like, a lot are more like quite small communities, so they don't recognize you. Like, who are you? Like, how many times I've walked through areas and I've asked me like, are you a Catholic or Protestant?
Really, just straight up like that?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen as much now. In fairness, it's so much better now. Like, it still has its problems, but it is way better now. And I think it's our generation that's making it better. You know what I mean? Because we're growing up without that. Like, I would never think. Like, we're Catholic, but I would never think anything of a Protestant or whatever. Like, we don't have those thoughts. But before that, people did. But it's kind of fading away. But it's just a completely different kettle of fish. Like,
wow.
Whenever we in America.
Because I remember when I was over there, like I was walking with your dad, Dan, and he was just showing me like different places and like telling me about like the dark times, and he was telling me about that stuff, and I'm like, wow, like that mirrors the U.S. in the sense of like how there's all these civil rights movements and just all these different things, but it's like being over there, like I said, I didn't feel in danger, like just because of the way I looked, because I was like, okay, like like why would I? Like I'm with your dad, like. He took me in with him to like, listen, this is my people, this is my friends. I met everybody, walking down the street because your dad knew everybody. But here in US, right? Me walking 2 blocks over by myself, if I'm wearing a certain thing or like, you know, I'm not dressed properly per se, I will feel weird, like in the back of my head, like, oh my God, like what if somebody confronts me for like, what are you doing here? Like, what if somebody calls the cops? Like, you know, just all these different things that, you know, come to the back of your head so quick, and it makes you scared because like I'm not a bad kid, you know, I don't do anything wrong, blah blah blah. But like people's mindsets here are so backwards. Like the U.S. is such a forward, advanced country, but the way people are, they are so damn backwards, and they just have these ideals and way of living that's still from, you know, the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Because like it's just like, well, how did, you know, all these blacks do this? Like they're not good, you know. They just have these negative, ignorant thoughts that
Yeah.
they never want to change. Number one, because they don't have to. That's where they say the white privilege here. Like they don't have to, because everything is catered towards like the higher class. Because everything here is like, okay, if you were born into X amount of money or this community, you're staying in that community. Because why would you not? Because whatever your family has, you're going to get it. Whatever knowledge they have, you're going to get it. But where, you know, other people, you know, like black people, Spanish people, or like immigrants, anybody who's not, who doesn't have knowledge, is like, how do you get it? Because number one, if you're born in a poorer neighborhood here, chances are of you getting a really good education are lower, because number one, all our education system is won by tax money. So if your town is poor, you're not getting much taxes. Whereas you live in a richer or a wealthier town, you have better taxes to get better funding for schools, you know? So it's like a cycle.
Like that there confuses life to me. So
Really?
So property tax. So if a certain area property tax go to a certain schools, so a poor area they probably have little property tax, so the school gets a little less money. While in a rich area, like say Bel Air, I don't know, somewhere in New York, they have really expensive property tax, so that's more money to go to the school. There is just like, why is that? That's just like catered for the rich. Why don't they just like obviously put it on their pot and equally divide it amongst every school in America, or do it state by state? Like I know there was like a policy trying to do that.
But redlining back in the day.
And it's just like, is it just rich people stopping it? Saying no, dude?
No, so that's the crazy thing. Like, you know, like the structural racism is like there were literally policies back in the day, you know, that's saying, oh, well, you can't live here. Like segregation started it, right? It was part of segregation. Then after that, after, you know, civil rights movement, there is a thing called redlining where, say, like, you know, me and you, Dan, we had the same amount of money, same job, boom, right? I was like, hey, I came into, you know, Steven's area. He was a mortgage broker. He was like the realtor. I was like, hey, like I need a house. Like, can you show me some houses? He would purposely take me to a poorer area or not approve me for the loan that I could get, because, you know, they wanted to keep their area segregated. So when they did that for years and decades. So imagine, you know, the same people had the same amount of money, but no, you're going to the poorer area. So you have like this big, you know, population of wealthier people in the same area. So it's purposeful. It's not an accident, you know. And now those same areas, the people who want to buy into those areas can't because of inflation here. Like houses here, the average house, like a decent house, like a nice, good neighborhood, would be about at least $350,000, at least.
Jesus.
You know, and that's just like a decent house in a nice neighborhood. So how do you expect somebody, you know, who's never had money or who's never, you know, knew how to get to the next level to get a neighborhood? They can't. So they're going to settle and go to like the lower income neighborhood and settle for that lower education. You know, it's not saying you can't make it out, but it's just so much harder because there's less resources.
You're expecting that's what gets me a lot as well. Like, generational wealth is one of the big things in America. So obviously a lot of wealth's passed down from like generations, like their fathers or their grandparents. So like a lot of white kids in America, or any people in America, can actually have this wealth before they're even born. And there's other parts like minorities and like in America don't have that. So you expect the ones with the least to actually move up higher. Like you wouldn't expect someone in the middle class to move up to higher class, but we expect the people in the lower class to move up to the higher class. Like it's almost an expectation. They're just trying to well, if you're in the lower class, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and work harder.
We love
And
that
it's like,
in America.
yeah, it's like, but what? Like, hey, first of all, if you're like working like I don't know, what's the minimum wage in America now?
$7.25 is minimum wage. Different states have, like in New Jersey, it's 8 something, 8.25. So like we're progressive by that standards, but like $7.25 is like the national, minimum wage.
And like, and the minimum the living wage is probably about $15 in there or something.
No, that there's like what you need to like survive. They say around the area like $15 an hour just to have like to afford a 1-bedroom apartment in B. So I was like, what?
You expect somebody out there, if someone wants to go to university, the minimum money they need to fork out just to go to university in America, they need to make sure they have their health care, because the healthcare system in America is, excuse my friends, absolutely fucked.
That's not even the word for it.
So you're expecting someone at this level to somehow save all this money, and what happens if they get pregnant or they have a kid? Think, oh my god, back to square one again.
Yeah, or they get hurt. Like a lot of people in this country go bankrupt because of medical bills. Like imagine that. Dan. Like imagine like one day like you get super sick. Nothing you did yourself. So it's like, well, okay, here's your bill. Like, how can I pay for this? Exactly. Well, I don't know. This what happened. So that's this country. Like, okay, like I'm driving on the street and I get hit by a car and I can't afford it. Well, you're bankrupt. Sorry.
Why do you think? I think it's interesting. Like, so why do you think so many? Obviously, all those examples we've just listed, to me and Dan and even to yourself, they're so ludicrous. Like it's so stupid. It seems so backwards. But why do you think so many people in America want like private healthcare? Like, why do you think that is? Like, what is it? Just the way they're kind of, it's just how they've grew up and it's just what they know and you can't change it. Is it like, why are they in fear of it? Because you will have people who would say they don't like public healthcare. They want it to be privatized because they don't really trust the government to run it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just interesting because it seems so wrong to me. I'm like, why do people want this?
Well, like when you think about it, right? Like this whole like notion of private healthcare, right? Privatized healthcare is all about profit because we did like in one of my classes. I have a really good teacher, so she really went in depth about healthcare. So we did like comparisons. Healthcare here, healthcare in Europe, and all different countries, and the different systems, So I know. Tell me if I'm wrong, because this is like a lot during a semester. But in Europe, I guess London, you guys have a centralized healthcare system. There's some private, but mostly are like public. So doctors are getting paid, essentially the same amount to do the same procedures, and it's universal healthcare. So it's like, okay, you break your left arm. Okay, this doctor's not getting paid more for performing surgery on you than him because same injury, same same thing. But over here, right, you gonna have 10 different doctors. But depending on who has, the better insurance and what the doctor wants to quote your injury as, that's how they go. Because a private healthcare person, right? If I have private healthcare and you're my doctor and I'm like, okay, like I broke my arm. You're like, okay, well, $10,000 for my expertise for this. But then the public doctor is going to say, okay, well, you have public health care. All we could do is cover this amount of money because that's what insurance is going to reimburse us for. So it's all for profit. Like we're just making so much money. So if you have private health care, you're paying more to like the healthcare company. Whereas when they get more money and then the doctor gets more money in their pocket. But public health care, it's like we pay into it, So whether we use it or not, we're paying into it. But since it's like public health care here, they pay less for it. They pay the doctors less from the public healthcare provider.
That's just so fucking fucked up.
Yeah, it's about dollars and cents here.
It's so strange. It's like almost like evolution. It's like survival of the fittest. You know what I mean? But most of the fittest people are the rich people are majority white. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And if you have a system based on profit or based on success, like the healthcare, then the government or these pharmaceutical companies like Big Pharma, for example, they want people to be sick. Technically, they make money off people being sick. So for me, I'm like, Is that like very dodgy to have that?
But we do have elements of that here too, in the sense
Yeah.
that that's why insurance works as well. Like, and it's always kind of like we pay home insurance, most people do, whatever, and that's like the only benefit you get of that is if your house burns down, and you're like, it's like fuck's sake. It's like, but your house isn't going to burn down. That's going to happen to maybe 1 in 100 people, if even. So it's like you're going to spend all this money throughout the whole of your life and never get anything for it. And like I feel like we have that here in small terms, but in America it's just that.
Everything.
It's just that all over the place.
It's like everything in America, and it's also about profits. Always someone trying to get money. Well, that's why I love America. I love going there. I love traveling there. But that's what I feel like when I'm there. I like someone's just trying to take money off me. They're trying to get my money every time I talk to them. I'm like, all right, do I need to pay you for this advice?
You're really stingy too.
I'm really tight. I'm like, do I need, even like the whole tipping service in America? Like, I've talked to you about this so many times, Ali. That is so fucking confusing. Not even like, I'm happy enough tipping. I'm on holiday. I have enough money and I'm okay tipping. Especially if the service is good. But I don't know how to tip. Like, what do I do? Like, no one tells me. There's no food. Like, I was telling Ali the story. I was in New York. I was in the Dead Rabbit. And we were getting drinks. Me and Deborah was blacked class. And I was trying to tip. She kept walking away from me. Like, I was trying to give her money. She walked away. Came back, tried to give her money. She walked away. About an hour later, I got another drink, and she goes, "By the way, we tip in here." I'm like, "I was trying to tip you this whole time, but it wasn't until you told me, you're meant to leave the money on the table."
Yeah,
like, you don't hand them.
Yeah, you tip after.
Like I was like, well, I was actually trying to tip you a lot of money there, and you kept walking away.
For every drink that you buy, you tip?
No. So like the way it works, like you get like say you're at a restaurant or at a bar. You get like drinks, whatever. It just goes by the total amount. The way I tip people is by like how much my bill is and how the service is. Because you don't have to tip people. That's not a law. Like you can literally spend like $100 and not tip anybody. So it really is after you eat and everything your total bill. So like say you pay $100. They say like a good range between 15 to 20%. So, it's like $20 from like 20% of $100, $20. So is that it varies. But then if they have a really good service, you usually tip them more. But they have like bad service, it's like, all right, you get the minimum, Like, because at the end of the day, like, this is like a two-way system. Like, like I'm paying you, I'm giving you your paycheck by coming to your restaurant. So like please just like don't be rude to me, you don't have to be like, oh my god, hey, but just don't be rude, like. So that's how it works.
It's different for us. We do tip in restaurants and stuff, but I think the biggest difference is if you work full time in a restaurant here, you can get by. Like you the wage isn't amazing, but say you were going out with someone, both of you together both had 2 full-time jobs in a restaurant, you'd be fine. You could get a house, you could have but whereas in America, I don't feel like you could do that.
The difference is in America, they get paid like $1 an hour, $2 an hour.
Yeah.
While our staff, waiting staff, they get paid the minimum wage or more. Depends where if you work in a nice hotel, you get paid. Like you work in the merchant, and you're working in the bar in the merchant, you're getting like 15 quid an hour, 10 quid an hour, which is about $12 an hour. But that's what I'm like, why do we tip here for? They get paid the same as us. What am I tipping them for?
Wow. So in America it's totally different because sometimes like some restaurants your pay is like 25 cents an hour, but whatever you get tipped you take home. So like some people take like $200-300 home a night if they're good, but others take like 10. So it really depends.
Even at that level, you're competing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, cause like, if you go to like, New York City, go to like a nice restaurant, everybody's like tries to look the best, tries like to have the biggest smile. It's really about like, it's money. And if you're like a good bartender and, there's like a lot of like, trashy guys that are like trying to hit on you and like these bartenders make so much money because like they just leverage what they have, and it's like, what? Like, but it's hard work.
Tell me some good things about America. I am really disillusioned with it. I was saying to Dan earlier, I was like, I've been to America once, and all we get out of America is bad news. Do you know what I mean? That's all we get. But I know, fine, right? I know it's a good country. I know there's good people. I know it has its problems. But all I'm hearing is negativity. Give me some positives. What do you love about living there?
So the best thing about living here is like, you can really do whatever you want. But you need money. Like you can literally like do whatever you want. Like if like Dan was like, if Dan came here, you guys came here with like $50,000. Like like I want to open up a business. You could already do that. Like you can make as much money as you want here. You can do what you want here, but it's like you have to just figure out how. Like nothing is controlled. That's the good and bad part. Like Jeff Bezos, he's a super billionaire, but it's like, damn, like that's not cool. You don't need that much money. So like you could do whatever you want here. Like there's a limited amount of money, but also on top of that, everything's just so accessible. Like me living here where I live, like in like Highland Park near school, I could literally drive 30 minutes. I'm in New York City. 30 minutes. I'm in Philly. I could hop on a plane, go anywhere. So we have access to a lot of things, but you have to pay for it. And like, I guess we have like good schools. We have good food, and like it's like I don't know. It's like we have a lot of culture here. Like in New Jersey, I could like meet people from 10 parts of the world, and and we could connect, and we could have something in common. So there's some good things here. But it's hard to think about all the good, when there's so much like bad.
Yeah, like with America, like I was in like LA and I loved LA. It was amazing. But I preferred I prefer New York. But I remember thinking LA must be the best city in the world if you're rich. It must be unbelievable. Imagine living in LA but being rich. But living in LA, working class, lower class, poor, must be the worst way to live. I was thinking just walking around, driving around, seeing all the poverty. Even everywhere in America, there's a lot of poverty. There's poverty here as well. But I was just thinking, like, Jesus Christ, like America, that's what America is. It's the best thing. It's the best country in the world. But if you have money.
Yeah, like it's literally the best country in the world if you have money. And like that's the thing, like like if you said earlier, like big like pharmacy, big pharmaceutical, like big food, like if you really think about it, like this country is really run by like 5 or 10 different entities. Like Walt Disney, they run like if you really break it down to see who owns everything, there's like 10, 20 companies maybe.
Yeah.
And they control everything. So it's like this thing where it's like you could be successful, but you can't be more than me. So it's always like everybody's competing at every level. Like these politicians are super rich, So it's like
because
catch to something.
It was so strange because people were like, "Do you know Bill Clinton's worth like over $1 billion?" But like being a president, you only get like $100,000 a year or something like that, or 200,000, which is a lot of money. I'm not going to turn my nose up at that. But how can you make all that money and you're only getting paid 200,000 a year for 8 years? What the fuck are you doing? How are you making this money?
Speaking to banks and shit.
Yes, I know. That's what I mean. Like that's. But like, okay, so let's go on to American politics now, because politics in general, we're all disillusioned with it. Politics here, I'm sure you're disillusioned with it. But for us, the outset, it just seems like there's corruption, but then there's America. And I feel like it's just like they're not even pretending to be corrupt anymore. They're almost like, yeah, we're corrupt. We don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah, we're bought by these companies, but we don't care. Like at least pretend you're not. You know what I mean?
Like who's going to stop them? That's the thing. That's the thing about America is like who's going to like okay, like we're like, what are you going to do to us? Yeah. Like, because we're brought, like, we put money in everybody's pockets for, like, leverage. So it's like, like, you see, like, today what's going on, our president, like, it's blatant what he does. Like, people see what he does, but he could get away with it. Why? Because he's a billionaire. So, like, when you have money in this country, you can do what you want. Which is, like you said, like, America's the greatest country in the world. If you're rich, like if you have a lot of money, like I don't like politics. Like I don't try to get too involved, but I do because like I say what I say, but I'm not like well vested in politics because to me it's like it's just something that's so tiring to like really try to understand. Like oh my god, like because like when you look at the different presidents who are running, right? You want to vote for a president who speaks to like your morals and your values, but those guys aren't usually the rich ones. Like the people who win are the rich people, like the up and coming guys who like really are for the people don't have nearly any amount of the money to like run a good campaign. So it's like, is this like the lesser of two evils? It's so hard to like just to really live here sometimes, and to try to, like, be not the best human being you can be, but to always choose like the best conscious decision, because like all the corruption and just like all the bad that you have to live with, like you have to accept it at some point, unless you're rich.
You wouldn't be able to sleep at night if you didn't, you know?
Yeah, it sucks.
But that's what I mean. Like, I don't really get involved in American politics. The only American politics I really got involved with was Bernie Sanders. He was the kind of guy. I just heard him speak. Like, every politician I heard in America, I'm like, bullshit. I kind of like Obama when he first came through, because how can you not like Obama? Like, them speeches when he was running for presidency all them years ago, like, Jesus, it got everyone going. He was so charismatic. He was so inspiring. Regardless, like, how he was the president, he can't take away. He is so charismatic. But then, like, what happened to Obama? Like, I don't think he done that much, but you probably tell me more. But like, it was Bernie Sanders when I heard him. Like, this guy's fucking like he speaks for every policy that I like. Every like just about compassion for your fellow human beings. I'm like, that's something a politician doesn't say, and he's speaking like on like a human race basis, and I love that. And I got a wee bit invested in him. And then to see what happened during the whole Hillary Clinton thing, and then to see what happened during the whole Biden thing, I was like, fuck this shit, America, you're fucked. Bye bye. I'm not trying to get invested anymore. Like, what's like for you guys? I'm not asking who you voted for, but like, I'm sure you have a person you wanted, and I'm sure you've probably seen them fail. Like, how you keep going and go back to the, like, you can see why a lot of people have become disenfranchised with politicians now.
Like, truthfully, like, me, like, I speak for myself, and I speak for just like a collective people we talk to, and just like the trend. It's just, just have to really have that hope, and just really just try to stay positive, because otherwise, if you don't hear, it gets dark, because like, think about it, like, you see like the killings recently, the riots. It's like, man, like, that's going on, but that happens every day, the school shootings. So it's similar to politics. You just have to, like, you just have to really just deep, like, look down and just be like, man, like, one little bit of like happiness is all it takes just to keep it going. Because if you lose the light, it's so easy to become dark and just like that's like sound like Star Wars. But it's so true. It's like, if you like just really just, it's so easy to go like dark here because there's so much bad. So just trying to stay positive and just trying to be hopeful that this person or these people are going to be a little different, and just try to be human and try to help the greater good. And that's what we have to do. Because like, just think about it, man. Just think about waking up and like, like looking like me, being black, and just seeing like, oh, this other black guy gets killed, this other black guy gets killed, like, oh, this 3 black girls got killed today. Just imagine waking up and seeing that. It'd be so easy to be depressed and not to love life, and like not to love anything. But you see people, like, I talk to you guys, I have friends all over the world, and everybody's so hopeful and so positive, not just for the US, but for everything that's going on. So it's like that collectiveness of that, like, that love is what makes this country keep going. Is what makes the people here just keep going. Because I was at the march yesterday in Newark. It's like a big city near New York, and it was crazy. There was like black people, white people, like might be gay people, straight people, lesbians. Everybody was there, and for what? To like stand up for what's going on. And that's the same thing with politics, man. Because whenever you go to like any of these rallies or you hear about this bad stuff, everybody's like, no, I'm tired of this. Like, you have to treat everybody here like humans. And that's how we keep pushing forward. Because like, we see like, okay, every day it gets worse, but every day more people want to change.
Yeah.
And that's just how, that's the best part.
That's for us looking in, that's what we see. And I have you on social media, so I had that side of it. So I'm like, and you're always very positive on social media. So I'm like, okay, he lives there and he's very positive. So it's not all doom and gloom, but it's so easy for me and Stephen to see the negativity. But no one frustrates me the most. Like when I see the Black Lives Matter protests or the rallies and all the time, like fucking fair play. And I'm sure, was it in Minnesota where George Floyd was from? There was some looting going on. And see when someone brings that up to me, goes, "Oh, do you see that fucking looting? They're scumbags." And I'm like, "Oh my god! Like, why? Why is that the first thing you think of? Why not the guy getting murdered by the policeman? Why isn't that? And the protest itself. In regards to any protest, there's going to be assholes. There's going to be dickheads, regardless. But the actual protest itself and what the movement was trying to do is create awareness for Black Lives Matter. But then, like, there's probably one guy breaks into this shop, steals an Xbox. What we fucking do? That's that. No one wants that. But the idea of the protest, is the movement. Focus on that there. That's the looting secondary. What's the primary objective? Black Lives Matter. Go for that.
Exactly. But here's the thing about, this is the thing, like another thing, like, the media is a multi-billion-dollar organization here. And who has a hand in the media? The politicians, So if you like, a lot of this looting that's happening is a lot of times is not started by the people who are out there.
Of course.
Those are outside entities that come in and start it. I think, like, if you look at a lot of this stuff, it's easy to burn down these buildings than to gentrify it again. Like, have these riots. All right, let's pay these people to go in and start havoc, blow shit up. So we, the people, who are in power already, could just, go in, build them up, and raise the rent, kick people out, and make it how they want to. So a lot of, like, when I was in Newark yesterday, there was at least, Newark used to be one of the most violent cities in the whole world and this country. Right, we were under Brazil at one point, Newark, New Jersey, and we have like 15,000 people out there, peaceful as hell, because Newark is a city that is majority black, but they want to change. They don't want the violence anymore. So that's like a perfect example. All these places around the country, I'm sure if you really like investigated and looked at who started the looting and who started the violence, they're not from their city. They're outside entities coming in. And the looting, like, once that happens, like, people are angry. They're like, F it. Like, I don't care.
That's what I was going to say. See, with looting, in a way, it kind of symbolizes that they're just fed up with things. It's like, the reason why you don't steal is because, A, you know what's wrong. B, you follow the rules. And it kind of symbolizes they're just throwing the rules out the window. It's like, you're not treating me with any respect, so why should I treat your fucking businesses with respect?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But, like, no one's saying that all looting is good. That's not...
No.
They don't go hand in hand, looting and protesting. Like, that's just, looting's going to happen regardless. Like, people rob shops all the time. Yeah. But people rob shops. Oh, there's a BLM march. Oh, they obviously are connected. It's like, they're not. They're 1 second there, one's nothing to do with the other. But no, what frustrates me the most is, like, some guy messaged me and he said it to me. He's like, that has nothing to do with it. Why is that your first topic of conversation?
It's funny, see in regards to, like, racism as a whole, like, obviously it's so different to where we're from to where America from. In America, to me, it seems so blatant. Do you know what I mean? It seems so obvious. Whereas in the UK and stuff, I think it's a bit more subtle. It's like, it's all still racism, but it's a bit more subtle. Like, I remember listening to a story, I think it was one of the news presenters was saying, and it was on, like, Good Morning Britain or something, and she was describing, like, racism as, like, a feeling. It's like, especially in the UK, it's like you can't actually prove it. Like, a lot of people who try to dismiss racism, they kind of say, "Oh, prove it," and you're like, but sometimes you can't prove it. I can't prove to you because you're not walking in my shoes, so I can't prove to you how I'm feeling. And the story was she was like from Indian heritage, so she said she remember her first sort of experience of racism was whenever she was a kid, and she must have been about 8 years old, and she was going to see a play with her friend, and her friend was white, and she remembered going to the shop and paying for a sweet, and it was like her and her friend, they both bought the same sweet with their pound coins, and she didn't get the right amount of change back, so the white girl got, like, the correct change and she didn't get it, and she looked down at her hand and she was, like, looking up being like, and she was like, I can't prove to you that was racist, but I knew from that 1 second that woman gave me that money. It's like, she gave me less money because I was a brown faced girl. That's how she described it. And she's like, but I can't actually prove that. Like, you put me in a position where I have to prove that that's racist, but I know it is. Like, I can feel that. I had that interaction with someone. I know fine rightly that the person behind the till gave me different money than the white girl, which is so crazy. And I watched, do you ever hear, like, I was speaking to you, Dan, about the guy Stevie Knight. He's a YouTube reactor. He done a video on the George Floyd thing, and I thought it was really interesting. Like, the one thing I took away from it, he said, like, what white people don't understand is, see if I ever get stopped by the police, I actually have to change my behavior. It's like even like to me it's like I know fine really I'm under threat, and 9 times out of 10 nothing will happen. Say if a broken tail light, they might give me a ticket and I'll be fine. But I know I have to adjust how I speak, how I act, how I behave, because I know by the fact that I'm black, I could be offending that person, which is fucking so crazy to me. And like I can't get my head around that. Like I don't want to live in that world.
Yeah, like imagine, like see, like you. I'm glad you brought that up. Like imagine being how you are, looking how you look, but knowing that you have to. But that's never good enough per se. Like you have to always change how you are to be accepted for just being on this earth, for being who you are. That's what it is in America. Like everybody, like every country has some part of the country been colonized, but like that's how it is here. Like that. Like European colonial like mindset is like, okay, we have to be like them to be accepted. But it's like, no, like why can't I just be who I am, look how I look, and be okay? Like that's like it's a shitty feeling.
And what gets me the most? So I maybe going to say something not controversial, but okay, correct me if I'm wrong here. So if you meet someone and they're a guy from, say, Alabama or some that's one of the South states, and he's 85, 90 years old. If he's racist or he makes a difference between a black guy and a white guy, I'm not saying it's okay, but you understand why he's racist because you're like, okay, he came from a time before Jim Crow law. He was taught X, Y, and Z. So for me, I'm like, that's not right. That's horrible. You shouldn't be racist regardless. But I'm like, okay, he came from a horrible time, but what gets me the most is these 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds who were born in the same years as me, or like 2000, years after segregation, years after Jim Crow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are they racist? Like, why that cop who killed George Floyd, who murdered George Floyd in the street, like he was probably in his 40s anyway. So like, what possessed him? So obviously, like, what possessed him to think that George Floyd was dangerous and to do that to him? Is it something the media's doing, or is it some sort of like propaganda?
It's conditioning here. So I would say it's 3 parts. It's like white supremacy at that part. It's social conditioning, and it's just being a product of his environment. Like for example, imagine being in a place where everybody you know looks like you, thinks like you, smells like you, talks like you. You all believe in the same thing, and all you see about these outside people are negative things. And nobody ever tried to, combat or, like challenge those thoughts that you're getting and those ideas that you're getting. All you're going to think about is that person who looks like what, you hear about is true. So not saying, okay, it's justified, but like he never had to step out of his comfort zone to ever change his thought process. So he's like, oh, what? You know what? I have this person right here. They might have done this and they might have not, but I don't care. Like, I was taught this way, so I'm gonna treat them like, like shit. If they die, they die. I'm a cop. I have power. I'm white. I could do this. He's black. He's scum. So that's the product of environment. That's that's this country. It's like you're always taught. Somebody if you look like this, everybody who's not you, is less than you. They're not, their life doesn't matter as much. They were slaves. They were this way. They're immigrants. They came from this country, so like, that's really how it is here. And that's what happened. That's like a prime example. If you look at the video, look at the cops around him. They had no type of compassion. Like they saw this guy dying, and they were like, okay, like, well, it's okay. I don't know what they're thinking, but like it can't be far off if you think about it. Cause like if I'm with you guys and you guys trip or somebody gets hurt, like if you're not hurt, if you trip, I'm gonna like giggle and make sure you're okay. Cause like, but if somebody's get hurt or if there's a fight breaking out or somebody's, I don't care who they are. I'm going to check on them. I'm going to like try to protect them because that's what we're taught. Take like other human lives. You want to look out for them. But if you grow up here and you're from a certain place, you look a certain way, like you're never taught that this person is equal to you. They're always, either nobody told anything positive about them, and all you see is like negative from propaganda from TV. Oh, these blacks do drugs, these people do this, these Mexicans do this, these these immigrants do this. So it's so easy to fall into that, that perpetual cycle of like, I don't care about this person, so I'm just going to live my life the way I want to, and if they come in my area, F them.
But how is that? Like, how do we stop that? Like, how do America stop that? Like, it seems it's so embedded in the culture now that it's beyond control, it's beyond repair. From the outside looking in, that's what it looks like. It's like there's too much to go on, because look where it came from: slavery, segregation, Jim Crow. Then it was like law and order, the war on drugs, the 3-strike rule. I mean, all these things were targeted towards black people over generations now. So how you correct that? How you fix that? How you change the mindset of like there's these racist, not even racist, like uneducated white people?
Having conversations like this, like having conversations like this with anybody, everybody, because like there's no, like, it's going to be impossible to change people's thought process and their mindsets without having these conversations like this. For most people, this might be the hardest conversation in the world, but like you guys don't have that mindset, so you're like, what the hell, like, why is this happening? So you guys are like normal people who have hearts,
Maybe.
Well, I think you guys are pretty normal. So like these conversations, a lot of people don't have them with just anybody, because it's uncomfortable. So, but making people uncomfortable is the only way to change. Making them understand why what they're doing is wrong, making them understand that like they're pretty ignorant and these thoughts that you're having or these ideas are wrong is the only way. And obviously, it's going to be from the top down. We have to change the system, but until that happens, we got to be out there, just changing and making this country more equitable, and just really showing like, yo, look how effed up this is. Like, this is what's going on in our backyards, and you're okay with that. So no, like, I'm gonna tell you why it's wrong. Imagine that was your kid, getting stepped on, getting killed. How would you feel? But a lot of people are like, well, like, I don't know, it's bad, right? All humans' lives matter. But like, no, right now, black people's lives matter, because like they're getting killed for no, like, literally, like, no damn reason.
Yeah, so that's another thing I want to ask you about. Like, so we have the Black Lives Matter movement, which is obviously growing. It's really big now. But then what came after it was like all lives matter, white lives matter too, and like we get that. But how do you respond if you're at one of these rallies, Black Lives Matter, and you see people protesting your protest with white lives matter as well, or all lives matter? Like, how do you explain to them? Your life matters as well, but how do you explain that to someone who is either unwilling to want to learn or just uneducated? For me, that's hard.
At that point, if somebody really has that much gall and like audacity to come to like a Black Lives Matter rally or like a protest and come like that, you just have to ignore them and block them out, because those are the people who, if they had the chance,
that's the problem.
They are the problem, because those people who see, like, if you honestly see nothing wrong and you don't want to have a conversation, or even if you do have a conversation and nothing changes inside of you, you're broken. Like, you're kind of broken.
More rights for like a group of people or whatever doesn't mean less rights for you, because someone's saying Black Lives Matter doesn't mean that your life doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, why would you think that way? They're not saying Black Lives Matter because black people are better than white people or Mexican people. No, they're not. They're not saying that. It's like, why would you interpret that message that way?
Because they're scared. They're scared of like, oh my God, what if, like, because like this is like a thing, we're talking about, the only way I feel like if somebody was like, hey, how do we fix this? And if I was in a position of power, it'd be forgiveness. It would be forgiveness and acceptance. Like, the people who did this have to really sit down and be like, damn, like, we effed up. What will it take for us to change it and make it a little better? It's like a little better. But that will never happen, because I feel like it'll never happen, or I won't ever see it in my lifetime, because the people on the other side would be too scared that how they treat us is how we would treat them. And that is a big thing, because like, damn, like what if they get in power and they do this to us? You know, like, because they know how shitty they treat us, how they treat other people who aren't like them. So it's like, damn, what if they do that to us?
Like,
We won't like it.
that's kind of how our politics works as well. Like, people are so afraid of the other side getting into power that they vote for like orange and green, because they're so afraid of, well, if it's an orange government, we're going to suffer, even if I don't agree with the green policies, but they're still green. Get them in. You know, it's fear. It's crazy.
That's like you were saying about like people don't want to have the conversation, or they feel uncomfortable with having the conversation. That's something me and Stephen find really uncomfortable as well, and something we've never really brought up on the podcast about the conflict in our area. We've made a passing comment being that there is conflict in Belfast and the north, but like we never actually addressed it because we don't want to come across offensive to anyone. Like me and Stephen are from Catholic backgrounds, but I'm a flat atheist. I don't give a fuck about religion. You know what I mean? So, but I'm labeled a Catholic then for the rest of my life because I came from this area. You know what I mean? So me and Stephen can't have that conversation because it could be someone from the other side listening, and then they go, okay, them guys are from that side. I'm not going to listen anymore. Or we'll say something maybe as a joke, and it comes across like they misinterpret it as us being sectarian. And sort of like, let's just stay away from this here. You know what I mean? So we're making you feel uncomfortable, but we have to address that we can feel uncomfortable as well, but other things as well. But you know what I mean?
I wanted to touch on your point where you said about forgiveness. Like, I think that's actually, it's so key, because it's so hard to forgive someone, even no matter what side you're on. Like, the problem is, like, if someone makes a mistake and they say sorry, sometimes you don't want to accept that apology. You want them punished. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good enough to be sorry sometimes. It's like, I actually want you to be ridiculed and punished. It's like, even if you are sorry, and that's where we need to strike a balance on all parties. It's like, there has to be an element of forgiveness, or else it's never going to go anywhere. Like,
but I think also, sorry, Ali, to jump in there, but
no, please jump in.
What I find, especially with like big powers like the UK and the US, is always like acknowledging the past, acknowledging for what it actually is. Like, the UK government have never really acknowledged what they did to like India, to Africa, to Ireland, to other countries. Like have the US ever just acknowledged that, okay, we did slavery, like we need to apologize, we need to do something about that? Or was just slavery ending? It's like, okay, see you later.
Hell no. Like, this how the way it is here is like, okay, it happened 400 years ago, get over it.
Yes.
Like,
get over
like
it.
Get over it. Like, no, like how, like, just accept. Like, see, that's the thing. I could be wrong. I could be wrong because I'm not like a big politics guy, but I'm sure you could never, ever, ever look at any archives and hear somebody in power say, like, listen, like, what we did was wrong. Let's make it right. That's all. I feel like that's all anybody wants is like, listen, like, okay, like you did something wrong. Like, I'm saying, like, you know, we can't undo it, but like, let's make it right.
Yeah.
And like that's what happened. It's never been acknowledged in a sense of like something was wrong happened. It's like, well, it happened. Let's move past it, you know? Yeah. But like that's like crazy. Like, how you gonna like tell me like, okay, let's get over it, but you're not admitting to what you did was wrong, you know?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, because it's crazy when people think about slavery. Like, yes, slavery was 18. What year was slavery ended? 1800.
It ended in like the 1832. I should know. I don't know.
Yeah,
but like,
something like that. So people think you explain like a 15-year-old now. That's fucking 200 years ago. That is a long time ago. But like, what happened after slavery up until even the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King? Like, there's still segregation. There was lynching. There's mobs going about and killing, lynching like black fellas and all that. This was like a regular occurrence, getting hung from trees. And then obviously the Jim Crow segregation happened. So when you think of, and then the war on drugs all happened. So like, when did it ever actually went away? And then you have the prison system, which are all for profit now, which they basically enslave people, and obviously a disproportionate amount of black people are in prison compared to whites. So has slavery really went away, or has it just changed its form?
It changed. Oh my God. Oh my. This is like a topic in class that really gets the fire going. Like, slavery is alive and thriving today. Cause like, if you're locked up in like a federal prison, you are you are working for big companies making signs. Like, you are still a slave. They just changed it. You still have a number. Like, when you're in prison, your name isn't a thing. You have a number, and you're working. 'Cause if the Constitution says, it's like, I could be wrong, so don't quote me for it. Like, if you guys want to look it up, but the Constitution, it says like slavery is abolished unless you're in prison.
Yes, that's the 13th Amendment, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's like, wait, what? Like, that's still there. Like, that is still in this Constitution. So it's like, you're telling me I'm free unless I'm locked up.
Yeah, criminal.
Then, like you said, the war on drugs. Look back in the war on drugs and look at the punishment for the smallest amount of weed or crack cocaine. But they compare that to regular cocaine.
Yes.
That was in the suburbs. It's like, wait, they're the same thing. A little bit of different chemicals, but you're telling me these people are so much worse than these people for doing the same damn drug, right? Like, come on, man.
It just so happened that the people who actually use cocaine were from a middle class to upper class background, i.e. majority white. The crack cocaine users were from a poor background, i.e. black. Of course, there's white people who got caught with crack cocaine, got put in jail, but the majority of them were black. And Ronald Reagan, like his chief advisor, I can't remember his name. I should have fucking looked up his name. Like, he says the war on drugs wasn't about drugs. It was about getting as much black people in jail as possible. That's what his advisor said. He said that. That's actually a quote from him. You know what I mean? Ronald Reagan, the president of America, said this. Jesus Christ.
And look at the boy right now, Joe Biden. Like, if you look at what he's doing, like what he did, how his footprint was on the American justice system, and like his policies, like, it's like he didn't really do much of a different, So now it's like the lesser of two evils, right?
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, because obviously during when Donald Trump ran against Hillary Clinton, it was the lesser of two evils, and a lot of people voted for Hillary and bit their tongue and voted for Hillary, even though they probably wanted Bernie Sanders. But it's the same thing again. It's like Joe Biden, who... How did Joe Biden win this, by the way? Was he not getting told to do one because he made some crazy comments?
Did he win? Is it over?
Bernie Sanders dropped out.
Well, see, Bernie Sanders, he didn't drop out. He just stopped. What is it called? Campaigning. Yeah. Oh. So his name is still on the ballot, but he realized, because it's money. Bernie's, like a small town guy. And Joe Biden, he's multimillionaire. Yeah. So it's like, it's one of those things. It's like, okay. That's how he won. Who are you gonna vote for? Sanders, who could get there but might not win, or do you want to vote for Biden, who can't? Right now it's just like, let's get Trump out. So whoever could get Trump out is who they're going to vote for.
Is that a possibility to get Trump out? I just thought, because with Biden there's so much baggage with him, especially even his son. His son's a bit dodgy as well. So Trump can just bring all that shit up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Trump did what he was supposed to do. He was like, listen, he's like, yo, these people in this country, they're stupid. Yeah. So if I get them to go against all these other people, because I'm this cool white guy who has a lot of money, I'm going to do it. So he did what he wanted to do. He's like, I'm going to be president.
It's crazy. I want to say only in America that could happen, but sure, the little politicians we have here, in Ireland and even in the UK, so we can't really say much. But the prison systems in America, that's so fucked. If you have a company that's making money off people being in jail, and they have a partnership or a contract with the government, the government's going to try to put people in jail then to make money. That's the policy. So how does that sit with Americans?
They just have to sit with it and just, because there's nothing we could do about it. There is, but there's not. There's so much things if you vote, you do this, you can do something about it. But something at that level, you really have to have enough people in a power, position power in the political party to really do something. Because I could go out, get signatures, get this this big change on a ballot, but to get it up the chain of command is damn near impossible. But like, say you have like 10 politicians who are at that level and who come together like, listen, we have to stick together and vote for this and push it through Congress.
Yeah.
Then things could get changed. But like the people who have that much money up there, they don't really care about that. So it's not going to be on a big ballot to get, to try to push it through because like, we know, like look at the cabinets right now. None of those people probably would know anybody who touched the prison unless they're working for it, making money. So that it's not on their agenda. They don't care. So it could get changed, yes, but we need the right people to be there. It has to be like a strategic, thought out move. It has to be. It's a collective. It's not one or two people could do it.
Like I always feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like what the media do in America, they overcomplicate. I know politics is complicated, but they overcomplicate it to the normal person, like the Joe Blog around the corner, to the point where they feel so disenfranchised. Not even disenfranchised with politics. Do you think our media outlets trying to make people become disenfranchised with politicians so they don't vote?
Oh, like I don't say they don't vote, but the media portrays certain things. It's called social conditioning. So the media puts out all these different messages, so people start to believe that, and it becomes like second nature. It's like black person scared. Like Trump this, Biden this. So the media is the politicians and like the big government, they basically fund the media. Like, okay, here's $1 billion. Make sure you make this person look like a saint.
Yeah.
So the media has a big influence on it. I wouldn't say they try to disenfranchise people, but people are just fed up. They're like, okay, like this is garbage. Like I'd rather not vote. I'd rather just say F it all you guys are corrupt. And that's how a lot of people's mindsets are, especially like my generation, like our age, is like, yeah, like the world's like the world in the US is corrupt. Like we might as well just not even care and just live our life, because either way, whoever we vote for is still going to be shitty. It's still not going to be good for us.
Do you think as well, like the big banks do it as well? Like when you were saying, Dan, how like they overcomplicate it, they make it sound confusing. Like the big banks do it all the time, even just in their terminology. They make it sound so complicated that people that actually don't understand what they're talking about, and they then leave with the impression that they're not smart enough to know what's going on, so they just trust the banker who is smart. And I'm like, but he's made up a term like a subprime loan. Like it's just a loan. Like, but they're adding these words to make you think that you need to be really smart to understand what's going on, but in reality, it's so simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in this country, if you have good credit and you have like a decent job, you could literally, like, cause if like all you really need is like a 730, 740 credit score and like $50,000 a year, you could get like a 6-digit loan like that,
Cheers.
With low interest rate. But they don't tell you that, and not many people are educated on how that works. Like the people who know and they take advantage of it, they do what they need to do. But the people who don't know are so scared because they've seen how much, like, if you take out a loan and you can't afford it, it's going to F your life up.
Man, like literally, I think we can go on for the next 4 or 5 hours talking about this here, but I want to talk to you about one more thing before you go. Yeah. I think it's something like it's on everyone's mind now, COVID-19. So for us, we're still in lockdown. Well, we're still in lockdown, not as hard as it was, but it's still a lockdown for us. What's it like over there? Because we're hearing horrible stories, and of course, with the medical system in America and like the healthcare system, like, how are people getting by with this here? Like, what's going on?
It's kind of like you said earlier. If you have money in this country, you're good. So it's like, like everybody's getting impacted by it. But the way it is right now is like, people's lockdown situations are totally different. Like if I'm like, okay, put it this way, like the East Coast is still locked down. So New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, like all of us, like we're still like locked down. You know, certain stores are open, like food stores, like essential stores, and some non-essential stores have like curbside pickup. But like we're still locked down. And you know, like as you know, New York, New Jersey got hit the hardest because you know, like New York and New Jersey, they're big tourist hubs. So a lot of like just people all over coming here, and they're so compact. So New York, you know, it's so many people, but everybody lives essentially downtown, you know, Manhattan and all the boroughs, Brooklyn, Bronx, blah blah blah. So they're still like locked down heavy, and the reason it hit so hard over here because you know like our government didn't really, they knew about it, you know, like when it first happened out west in Seattle and Cali, they knew about it but they didn't take it serious. So when it came over here, it's like a wildfire. People, you know, got it. Some people died and people didn't take it serious until like the death toll hit so high. But it's right now is at the point where it's like you're looking at the numbers and look who really died from it, and it was like a disproportionate of black and brown people, so like black people, Spanish people, and low income people who got impacted the most by it because of lack of testing and the jobs that they had to work. You know, like most people can't do a work from home job. You know, if you don't have a college degree or you didn't get lucky, you can't work from home. So you're going outside every day to make money. So like, what do you rather do? Die from COVID, or you know, like die from like, you know, or you know, not have food. Yeah, not have food. So those are choices people had to make. So it's like a really effed up situation here, like because you know everybody can't lock down in peace. Cause like imagine like your family's abusive, and you're locked down with them, and you're a kid, you're getting beat or abused or whatever every day because you're home now. You don't have school.
Yeah.
So COVID just made a lot of situations worse. Like I believe COVID is real. Like, you know, like it's like a real thing. Some people saying, "Oh, the government did it." Could be true, might not be true. I don't know, but I know people are dying. Like people are literally like I know people who got sick and died. So it's like a real thing here. Like people are really getting sick and really dying. And COVID doesn't, you know, it doesn't discriminate. You're black, white, Asian, whatever, it's going to get you. But if you have a lot of money, you know, if you have a lot of money and you're living in a place with a lot of money, you're safer because, you know, testing happens quicker. You have more, you don't have to go outside as much. You know, you have better health care. You could get, you know, a test quicker. You could get, you know, like better medications to keep you, you know, alive longer. You have access to better hospitals. You can find better doctors because you have more money, better health insurance, you know. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, COVID, you know, it didn't discriminate, but the policies around it and the access to, you know, testing and, you know, different things did discriminate because if you have a lot of money, you're good. Well, you're better off than somebody who's not.
Yeah. So can you get tested if you have money in America? Can you go and get tested?
Well, now, at least in New Jersey and some places, anybody can get tested. But when it like months ago, especially in New York, there's like I could send it to you guys after if you want to see. But after, you know, some places in New York, a lot of people who lived in certain areas, they left because they went to like their beach house, or they went away from the city because they were able to. And those places had the most testing. Like it's by zip code. If you live in a certain zip code in New York, chances are you're going to survive. But if you live in like, you know, the poorer side of Bronx and Brooklyn and different boroughs, you're as good as dead because there's no testing. There's no testing and there's no ventilators. And there's so many people condensed in a small area. Like if 1,000 people live in a 3-story apartment building, chances are of that spreading into the common areas than not are so much higher than, you know. So it was like this inequality with it.
It's so how is like New Jersey reacting to it in terms, because we've seen it on Facebook now, like a lot of people are protesting. I think it's within Texas, like they want to go back to normality now. Like they don't believe in COVID and all too. Has that ever happened where you're from, or is everyone's probably trying to stay locked down as much as possible?
So a few weeks ago, up North Jersey, there was like this gym. You know, this gym people, they had a big protest. It was the cops in the gym in the town. They wanted to work out, so the gym owner was like, "Yo, f this, I'm opening up my gym." Then it was like a whole bunch of protests going on, like anti-COVID protests saying like, "No, like this is effed up. We want to be able to do what we want. Like we want to go out, we want to work, we want to go to the gym." And so there was those protests, and the people were talking smack to the cops in the cops' faces, but it was like a majority like whiter neighborhood, so nothing bad happened, and it was in media for like a day, then it went away.
Jesus, they still opened?
No, they had to close down. Like Phil Murphy was like, "Yo, like I don't care, we're shutting it down." Like, cause Phil Murphy, people don't like him, but he's a good governor of Jersey. Like he's like he's about the people. So he's like once he knew how bad it was, he said, "Listen, I'm shutting everything down until we get this under wraps." So he did good, and he's pushing a lot for help, finances for people in the state, because he knows like if you don't have a good job or your job doesn't let you work from home, and you either you're putting yourself out there more to be exposed, or you're going to sit at home and die with it, Yeah. So mostly Jersey locked down quick. Once it started to spread, Jersey got locked down, and they put in a lot of good sanctions. But right now we're slowly opening it up. So like non-essential businesses are open, the parks are open. So with social distancing, your mask, you're 6 feet apart, things of that nature, and they're enforcing it because he knows like we're human, we need to be outside, but he cares about the safety. So they're trying to open Jersey up slowly. In some parts of New York, like the outskirts, like up north, like the different boroughs that are off the island, they're opening up slowly because there's not many. The population there is small, so they're trying to to open it up. But they know like if we open them too fast, we're going to be worse off than we were before.
Yeah, like when you say New York, it's completely shut down. Like Manhattan, for example. Sorry, Manhattan, it's completely shut down. Is it?
Yeah, like the only thing that's open are like grocery stores and stuff. But at that time, they only let a certain amount of people in the grocery stores. Like they have like strips of like tape 6 feet apart. They have cops patrolling, making sure people are following the rules and stuff. Because New York, man, it was so bad. Like people were just like I don't know how good or bad the my sources are from like the media, but they were like saying they were filling up ice trucks, like like refrigerated trucks with dead bodies for the hospital. And then like I followed some people on Twitter who are medical doctors that are working there, and they said, listen, like it's really bad like that in these areas, like the poor minority areas. But then like the different doctors in like the other neighborhoods that are have more affluent, they were saying like it's not that bad here because it's just it goes by, that's how it is. Yeah. Inequality by zip code in New York City.
It's tough, like, and I think for us, we're starting to open back up. I think non-essential shops, or bigger shops, can open up in the
15th of June.
15th of June. So wow. For us, like we can see light at the end of the tunnel, but again, we didn't get the sheer volume of deaths that American got. Like, do you see this ending soon, or do you think it's another 6 months to a year of it all?
I mean,
these are big questions. Like I know they are, but just like you live there, like what's the vibe you get from the
my own personal opinion, right? Like, I can see businesses opening up slowly in a sense of like a set amount of people. Like I can see us opening up slow, very, very slow, because that's what has to happen. It has to be a lot of testing and a lot of tracing. So we could open up into like another, like, if we do it right and we keep following our governor, Phil Murphy, and because he's strict, which is good. So if we follow those rules and those laws, I'd say we could open up halfway probably by the end of the year. But like okay. I see like another like year fully opened up where everybody's safe. But anything before that, I feel like it's going to be like dangerous, because it's so hard to really make sure we know who's coming in with it, because like we can't lock the country down like China did, because they're not letting that happen here, because it's like there's too much going on. We can't fully make this a military state. That's not how it run. So I would say like 6 months to a year, might be good if everybody follows rules and people don't get go crazy.
Yeah. I think my biggest fear, I think I've told Stephen about this, is the way the UK government are doing it now. They're basically saying, "Oh, things are better. Let's start opening up things now." So I think there's going to be a point with the UK government. They're just going to, regardless how bad it gets, they're going to open things up and try to get normality back to people, and then just hope for the best. Like I don't think they're going to care about the amount of people dying. And that's my biggest fear.
I was saying to you, like, it might get to the stage where there's more evidence for us that we need to do a second lockdown than there ever was before we done a first lockdown. But I don't think they would do it because it's just costing them too much money.
Yeah, so much hassle for them. So they'd probably just say, just let's hope for the best. Let's hope we can ride this out. And then if enough, let's hope not enough people, less people die than before. Which is scary because it's, when people say, here, only 2 people died in the north last night. That's really good. Still 2 people died. 2 people lost. I was someone's brother, mother, father, sister. You know what I mean? Like for us, just because we don't know them, it's so insignificant. It's like, oh, sweet, that's good. How is 2 people dying ever good?
Yeah, it's not. And like some states here, because let's think about the U.S. area, like we're federal, we have a federal government, but each state controls what they're doing. So Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, places down south, they're open.
Yeah.
Their numbers skyrocketed. Already.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the good and bad thing. Because like if the federal government was like, all right, we're open, the whole country's open, but states are controlling that. So like that's why New Jersey's still locked down, because our governor is like, listen, we're not ready. Like I want to keep my people safe. I want to open it up the right way.
But are people still crossing the borders going to different states? Or is states locked down?
Well, yeah, you're allowed to cross borders, but some places, like if you're like a tourist place, they're not letting people out of state in.
Okay.
And if you're quarantined, you have to be locked down for 2 weeks, and they're going to monitor you. Like police are going to monitor you.
And there's actually no flights whatsoever in America?
No. You can fly anywhere you want in the country right now.
Serious?
Yeah, you still can fly, but it's no international flights.
Okay, but what happens if you fly in New York and you fly to somewhere like without a lockdown? Because New York had it bad, and you're
if you fly from New York to like Florida or places like that, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks, and you have to like give them all your information, like where you're going, who you're going to be with. It's serious because because they know how bad it was here.
You are now listening to MCPodcasting.